That's also another thing. I need to actually have a good editing program so I can actually edit in the intro like I was doing. I was just using some half-assed one. It sounds like shit. And we're back with episode 8 with my buddy Seth Knight.
Hello.
This is the Origin of the Maker podcast where we talk to makers of all kinds. Doesn't matter what they do. As long as they make something, I'm going to talk to them. Because why not?
Yeah. Just go walking around the world, just you see someone making something, I'm going to talk to you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what you're doing. I'm just going to talk to you. I'm going to take you away from what you're doing. We're going to talk about it.
And we are back at the Matchbox co-working space up here in Lafayette where I did one of the episodes I did with Wolfgar Weapons and Props. I should probably know which one that was.
I mean, it's been a year? Year-ish?
Yeah.
I remember that time that you actually came up here. You had Freddie with you, too.
Yeah, Freddie from Iron Grizzly Props.
Then he was freaking out because he actually got to meet James, I think, for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
He was just...
He was
so excited. I love Freddie. He's such an amazing guy.
He's so excitable. And I don't think I can actually count him as my apprentice anymore now that
he's moved on. He's doing his thing. He's flying. He's taking flight.
When we were going up to C2E2, on our way up here to meet you guys, I was like, so are you still counting yourself as my apprentice? He's kind of like, maybe like a 2080. I was like, I'm still going to ask you questions. So I was like, oh, so what you basically been doing, just not as much.
I mean, it's always good to be able to have people that you can come to and ask questions. I mean, until I kind of dropped off the whole social media aspect, I used to be that guy for like 50 people. Yeah. And then I was just like, I just kept getting, slower at responding, and then I would end up just being like, oh yeah, here's just a link to things, and then the links that I would send people, take them off into doing things.
I got a message from Aegis Studios, a newer maker. He was in the Champions of Cosplay costume contest at C2E2 with this big ass costume. And he's like, so I heard Freddie graduated. You have an open slot for apprentice, don't you? I was like, you don't need one, don't you? He's like, no, I suppose so. I was like, well, I might take that up. I was like, well, all that entails is you ask me a bunch of questions, I give you answers, and every once in a while I tell you to make something. Because I'm not in an accredited business, because I'm not actually a business. So
and there's no certs that you're gonna get from me. So
you're gonna get. I'm gonna make a little certificate for Freddie.
We should do. We're at Matchbox right now. We should make him a little plaque.
That'd be cool. We could do that. I want to make a little certificate that says, you've graduated from the DLC Props Apprenticeship Program. This has no bearing on real life or prop fabrication. Just your own self-gratification.
This is Aegis Props, you said?
Aegis Studios.
Aegis Studios, okay.
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's young.
Well, that's Justin.
Yeah, Justin. Okay. His first costume, he did the Nord from the Elder Scrolls Online trailers. So we met him at Madison Wizard World, and he won the costume contest on his first costume.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was in the room.
He was rooming with us at C2E2. Yeah, he may be my new apprentice, which asked me a bunch of questions. Because apparently I have all the answers. But of course,
I've had interns and stuff be assistants for me, so I've gone through that before. It's a lot. It's a lot being the on-call guy.
Well, yeah, it's not bad though. It's also,
I mean, it can be a lot of fun, and it's always good to help people out. Like, it's probably one of the biggest things about one of the biggest reasons why I've enjoyed this community is just being able to help people with what I know. Yeah. Like, there's not really a whole lot of other fields where it's as collaborative. There's a lot of stuff where, like, if you are, you're, a specialist in whatever you do, usually that's a guarded thing. Like, your knowledge is almost proprietary.
It used to be like that in the special effects industry.
It still kind of is in the special effects industry in the big houses, but, like, as far as, like, anything close to our level, and I would say even some of the, most known, like, prop builders, like, Hex, Mortis, and like Vulpin props, they show how they do most of their stuff still. Like they still have a lot of those community roots. So it's not like, the Stan Winston school that they would live like, and like honestly, I'm all for, charging for, your knowledge too. Like it's how you continue to become better and to like further yourself as a business.
Do more workshops so people pay you to learn stuff.
Yeah.
But also, like, somebody asks you a question, if you know it, just like,
no.
oh, you do it this way or this way.
If it's a simple answer, as much as like what kind of silicone do you use, what kind of resin do you use, do you what kind of material you would use in this situation?
Yeah.
What is EVA foam? Like, there's a bunch of stuff.
EVA foam? You mean EVA foam? I was the one time I was in a costume contest was at a bar. And
that's already setting up for a story.
It was a gamer bar. So it's a little better, not much. Like, this was my first Ranger costume because I had the foam armor with the duster. And like went up there because I was wearing my helmet. Yeah. And they're like, "What's your armor made?" I was like, "EVA foam." He was like, and like one of the judges, which is some random ass cosplayer, is like, "Awesome, you know what EVA foam is?" Like, "Awesome, I'm a prop maker." This is a half-assed thing I threw together to go to a party. I was just like, "Are you fucking serious?"
No, I actually. Costume contests. I'm actually not a big fan of them anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
I've done a few. I think the last one I did was Gen Con. We had the Space Wolves all together, and it was a lot of fun. Like, it was amazing to be on stage, all stomping about, roaring and everything. And it was great to like hang out with everybody, but the process of like waiting for hours at a time.
Yeah,
it's just draining. Like this is a lot of stuff that like I think probably the biggest thing that like it's irked me as far as costume contest goes. Sorry, small tangent.
It's totally fine.
Is I've seen like the cosplayers and the costumers and like the conventions grow so rapidly from even when I started cosplaying. I haven't seen costume contests evolve anywhere near the same rate.
Yeah, we obviously have several mutual friends who are costume contest judges in various costumes, and they're all like, man, this needs to get better.
Yeah, and like I honestly think that it was. There are several ways you could fix it, right?
Yeah.
Or you could begin fixing it.
Have a more diverse set of judges than just cosplayers.
You should
have models.
Yeah, you should have. Well, no, but here's the thing. So, just on that note alone, you should have a model, a maker, and you should have the people that would cover all of those categories. Because if you just go up there and you stand in place,
look at me.
If you literally just go up there, like stand up on a stage and like, I'm dying. I've been here for like 8 hours and my handlers left me. I just want to go die and cry over in the corner. You're not going to be as impressive as if you go up there, you strike a pose. You have like so like to say that like as a costume contest, it's more elements than at least in most of the costume competitions that I've seen.
Yeah,
it's not just the costume.
Oh yeah,
it's so like you can have
the costume, it's the pose, it's the stage presence, it's how you present yourself while you're in costume.
Yeah. So if there could be like a community, like not necessarily like a community guideline for costume contests, because I don't feel like there should be a guideline to how this is done. But if there should be like a goal.
Yeah.
With what it needs to be, because like as a cosplay also needs to be defined as a costume contest or a cosplay contest.
Yeah.
Because if it's a costume contest, you can just have somebody like on a little wagon that you roll them out. It's a giant costume. He's just like thumbs up, cool, and then you just wheel him out. Then like that's enough. But like if it's a cosplay contest, it doesn't matter if it's like just the suit jacket and like some prosthetics.
Yeah.
As long as all of the suit is on point or pretty close at least.
Yeah.
The prosthetics look good. The presence is good. The person who actually knows the character and actually is portraying the character well
Yeah.
Doesn't even have this has nothing to do with how they look as a person in relativity to what that character is, as long as they're portraying that very well.
Yeah.
It helps, but it's not like for example, it helps if the person cosplaying as Spider-Man's the whole 5'10", 5'11" at most, full Peter Parker build. If I was on stage, I would not do well as a Spider-Man in any way, shape, or form. 6'3" as the world's tallest Spider-Man, just get off the stage, please. Thank you. You're making us really uncomfortable how tall you are. Go on, Peter.
That's Spider-Man's on growth hormones. What's going on?
Yeah. So, I'm never going to tell someone to not cosplay something like that. It's just one of those things that if you are really passionate about that character and you know the character very well and you've poured yourself into your cosplay, it'll show regardless of if you were look like that character or not.
Yeah. I may still do a big costume contest at some point. I may build some big ass elaborate thing when I have time and do one. But also it's watching the recent ones that I have seen, it's I think it's a little bit biased.
I mean, it's literally also a big problem with costume contests is the community itself is a fairly judgment-free environment. Mm-hmm. No one's going to at least no one should be going around telling people who they should and shouldn't cosplay.
I know a few people like that.
Once again, the awesome thing about this community is we can propel it forward to what it should be and not have to be what it has been. Yeah. And that's something that I know I'm really proud of Bill Duran at Punish Props for is he's spoken out against hey, this is a positive community. Yeah. This is not something where if there's a toxic situation you don't have to you don't have to stay with that.
Yeah,
you can find other pockets of people that you can
our the community around the Punish Props people. We make sure that we keep the community itself pretty clear of everything negative, because there's probably I don't know how many of us are still in the group, but there's probably a good 30 of us who moderate the community page. We're oh, hey, we saw this, we should probably take it down. They're yeah, let's take it down. I'm yeah, I agree, we should do that. It's somebody flags something, and it's because we're there's mainly no negativity, no bullying, no really trying to sell anything in the community pages, but it's also sometimes people flag stuff and it's do you guys think we should remove this? Sometimes it's no, I don't think we should. And we're
it's a good deliberation process, and people seem to be on the same page about stuff.
Yeah, there's some other cosplay community pages that are
for every what is it? Is it for every 100 decent good people, there's one really bad apple, and that's the only one that's going to get focused in a situation it's. I think there's actually studies as far as positivity versus negativity, and it's you have to have 5 positive things compared to 1 negative thing for the positive to show brighter than a negative thing. So it's really a lot of people feel to get attention they have to be negative, because that's what draws because that's the human response is people listen to me when I'm bringing something down.
It's how many people can I trigger and how many people can I draw into this bullshit that I want to spat out?
And it's really unfortunate because it's not necessary. It's not helpful.
Yeah. It's so we keep the community for the Punch Props group. It's pretty clean, but there's another page that I joined that I'm not going to mention, because the people who are the community for the people that is a community for, they're really nice people, but I was oh, they have a community, so I joined their community. It's they added me and was hey, thanks for the ad. I dropped a picture of something I was working on, and the first 4 or 5 comments are you need to read the rules, you shouldn't be posting this, blah 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 blah. And it's whoa, you need to pay attention to the rules, or you're just going to be in trouble. And that was my very bad German accent, so ignore that.
I don't like it when people are rule sticklers. I used to do. Actually, here's a origin bit for me. I got my start in the costuming with my costume and prop building over at the 405th forums. With all the Halo costumers and stuff like that. So I used to do that I did that for
the 405 or the 501st people, and there's the super obsessive.
So they're
judgmental.
They're very specialized. But the thing that I really gathered from the 405th is that and I don't know how it is now. It's been years. It's changed hands. It's now ran under, I think, Art Andrews people, the replica prop forum. It's now part of that conglomerate. So it might be different. I know that the main guy that started the 405th, now I'm looking like a fake nerd now.
Some person somewhere
Adam,
and something.
I think it was an Adam. He was one of the first Halo cosplayers, because Halo armor was not something easily fabricated back 10 years ago. That was not 12 years ago. He'd made his first set in 2007 or 2005. He actually sculpted all of the armor and cast it himself. And he did a Halo 2, so it was blocky. He did it accurate to the games. It was blocky, and it was awesome. His passion, he moved on to other passions. He got into photography, and it's also another thing is if your passions are not in something, you don't keep forcing things, right? You can let other people take the torches. But I learned in the 405th that it is possible to do something even friendly competitive as far as trying to make the best of something and make it still positive. And the 405th's big thing is they weren't about selling their stuff. They weren't about they had a junkyard thread or a we sell things here thread, but it was never it was never about that. That wasn't the main goal of the group. The main goal of the group was literally to make something cool, to share your experience with it, and to meet up and hang out with other people that were on the forum at a convention. And it was awesome. I think that's really what fostered a lot of my positivity and my collaborativeness, because I would go through there and I would help. I would help with whatever I knew, with the little bit I did. I helped. There was a couple people that had non Halo stuff that they were doing, and I love coming up with new character concepts and stuff like that. Because before I got into prop building and costuming, there was several avenues that I was wanting to pursue that were art related. One of them being I wanted to do illustrate comic books, little characters and telling stories thing. Or be a concept artist for video games and movies and stuff like that. That was something I really wanted to get into.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I think that job would be the only job that I would probably leave prop building to become a part of. I would love to work for Riot Games and do all of their new skins and do all of that designs. That'd be amazing.
Illustrator concept artist that I follow or that I know is Jonah Loeb.
Jonah Loeb.
He did concept art for Skyrim, and I remember my wooden Dragon Priest mask that I made that I posted when I started doing hashtags. He's he found it and he's man, I designed this thing. This is really cool. And it's
the heart.
Shit. No, I'm actually friends with John on Facebook, I think. And it's man, that long ass time ago when I started doing those things, man, all these people are now I'm friends with a lot of these people that I follow. And shh. At the same time, it was I was kind of like Freddie.
Freddie, the thing with Freddie is he's learning, so he's having these overwhelming experiences that we've had earlier. Yeah. That we're just now a step or two because we've been doing it for a while.
I want to say I wasn't as enthusiastic.
You weren't very excitable about it, but it was it was a monumental holy.
The same thing when
insert expletive here.
Because now that I'm friends with a lot of the prop costume makers that I've been following for years now because of either one
meeting them
or talking to them online, then meeting them at Dragon Con of all places.
Dragon Con is a magical place.
Yes,
I will say this. And under the definitions of the internet's definition, if you don't like magical places, you don't have to go. But it's a place where you can meet all of the people that I've seen Harrison of Volpen props as Jeep beeping around Beatdown Boogie video, or you've seen, James Wolfguard James facing, and he's just running around with a dry brushed apocalyptic crew of some random mashup. They're just running around handing beer out to people. Like, you can find all of these magical creatures at Dragon Con.
Harrison from Volpern was like the one person I ran into more than anybody. I'd be walking around, there's Harrison. I'd be walking around again,
he's got a very that's another thing too. He has the look of an artist.
Yeah. Also, he's like, man, I've been running into you a lot. I was like, I know. I'm just walking around. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing the same thing. But like, he was I met him. Like, I actually met him, and I showed him my shish kebab that I made out of foam, and luckily he didn't like take his eye loop the jeweler's loop that he has, because he likes to do that to people. He was looking at it like, this is really cool. I was like, cool, thanks. He had this big ass staff that he 3D printed, painted up, looked just like wood. The top.
I saw that. I was following that. Does it fly?
He put a drink in there. Like, I ran into him more times than I can count at Dragon Con. But then everybody else that was there. Some of them actually were my friends. Like, we follow each other on Twitch, and hang out each other's and Twitch streams, and chat with each other. So a bunch of those people I already knew were there that I got to meet in person. And they're like, that's where I met Bill and Bert from Punish Props, Paige from Redbird Props works for them, and met Eric from Core Geek in person, then Anna Folkestall, they're from Germany, I believe, if I'm correct, and a bunch of Brazen and Bold Studios, they're from like Germany or Austria, I think. And it was like I met a bunch of people, then ran into a bunch of people who knew who I was, and was like, I'm not as famous as all these other people.
Shift your glance over here.
No,
do not look at this man in the corner, for he is not the one with the spotlight. It is these artists.
No, it was. I know I mentioned this before, but it was kind of weird. It was like
it's a strange experience. It's really
at a normal convention. People who've done it to me, it was like, it's still kind of weird, but it was like I'm at Dragon Con with all these other makers who are like way more recognizable, have a way better fame level than I do, and it's like, well, why are you talking to me? Like, don't talk to me. It was like, hey man, I've been following you for like 6-7 months or a couple years now. I was like, oh. I wasn't like, why are you talking to me? And I was like, oh man, thanks, that's awesome. Chat for a little bit, but then like at the end of the day, it's like,
why? But it's the
weird thing. It's still a little weird to me. Somebody recognizes me and then they talk. Yeah. They want to talk to me, and I was like, I'm getting better at that, but it's still kind of weird. I'm not gonna act a little weird and not talk to the person, but it's like almost like
it's a strange feeling. It's a strange feeling having someone know you and you not know them. That's the definition of a stranger.
You're right.
Like that's what it is, and I haven't dealt with that very often because of what I do, and I don't. What I personally do anymore is I'm very behind the scenes in what I do. Like,
you're part of a team.
Yeah. Well, I'm not only a part of the team, but like I don't brand my face with what I do with a lot of things too. So like when you see what I do, it's just what I have made.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do that. I just happened to start doing that.
No, it's absolutely fine to do. It's also something you should probably, like, if there's ever going to be, if there's any advice I could give as far as doing that, if you're looking to actually try to get to know more people, absolutely do that, because...
Or start streaming on Twitch and hanging out with other people's Twitch streams.
All of it. Because you're going to remember people through their interactions, but they're not going to remember your face if you don't post pictures of your face. Yeah. And not just that one selfie of you right before you go to leave, like you with your stuff, because that's also going to solidify a lot more.
Well, it's like I've been starting collecting more maker shirts, so I'd post a selfie and make a shirt holding one of my props.
And that in itself is a huge networking thing, because I mean, to you, you're just supporting your friends or the people that you like inspire you. But now everyone that's follows that hashtag is now seeing you with the shirt. And they're like, oh yeah, this guy does cool shit. I'm gonna follow this guy because I like seeing cool shit on my feed.
Yeah. And I still gotta announce a giveaway because I hit over 1,000 followers on one of my pages. So I was like, oh, I get to do a giveaway again. And it's like,
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna give away one of the Pit Boys that I repainted.
Nice.
The last actually it's the last one that I painted for James. That I was like I needed to get to him, but then it's like, hey, let me know if it sells, and that was like 4 or 5 months ago. So I was like, I don't think it's sold, and the listing probably.
We haven't really sold a whole lot of them.
The first couples I did for you.
We sold them, and then honestly, a lot of the negative hype of Bethesda kind of killed a lot of it. Like it used to be one of our most searched tags on Etsy, and it's no longer. It is.
Yeah, Etsy, the giant beast that is. But no, I was like, I still had it. And it's like,
it's a good prop. Like
it's a good little repaint. It's like, yeah, I can stick this on my shelf, or I just hit a milestone, so I'm just gonna give it away to somebody.
And it's good because like, also another thing too that I've noticed with like making stuff is the value of what you think something is sometimes askew because you do it all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's something that I actually have to remind myself about a lot of the stuff that I do, because I've done like over a dozen bolters, like Warhammer bolters. I've made over a dozen bolters at this point. I've done.
You know how much time needs to be put into it, how much you can list it for, but you compare that to what somebody wants to pay.
Well, there's not only that, but like I might not think it's worth that much because it's me, and I know what goes into it, and I never want to like charge a whole lot for something that I do because that's just what I do. But like, and then I've literally gone out and I'm like, yeah, I could probably sell this, this foam pistol that I've made, and it took some work, but like, it's not any like extreme, effort that I've put into it. It's something almost muscle memory at this point.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, yeah, I'll pay you like $300 for that. I'm like, what?
Take it.
Cool. To that guy.
A lot of that stuff is you gotta.
It's really weird to hit your right price points on things. Also, like the materials of something, how something is made, is also like a really strange like target to hit.
Yeah, you gotta balance it out between your material cost, the hours that you want to put into it. But also you gotta think though, what are the most valuable things when you're selling something? The most valuable part, besides the material cost and the finished product, is your time you put into it. And you don't want to shortchange yourself where you're making $4 or $5 an hour, or not anything an hour. So when I make something, I know how much time goes into it. Not only do I compare it with the time that I have into it, I wanted to make like $10, $15 an hour on that project. It took me like 4 or 5 hours. So I take that, manage all that cost. But then what I do is I do research of looking at people who actually sell the same thing.
Yeah, the market value of something.
Yeah, I check what people sell for, but then I compare the let's say quality of what I would put out compared to somebody else's quality, and then I kind of can compare and contrast costs. So if they're like, their quality is not as great as mine, but they're still selling it for this amount, but then there's somebody else around the same quality selling it for this amount, I can judge how much I should sell mine for from the quality of work that I did compared to somebody else. It's
a part of the business aspect of a creative process. So a lot of times where people have asked me is like, how do you get into this stuff? Like, how do you get into building? How do you get into making stuff? How do you get into this? And how do you become successful? There's a couple people that in Indy that when I used to still go down there would always ask me how to get into it. And really, first and foremost, never quit your day job.
Nope.
Second of all, this is very important because I dove in because I had a very special circumstance. I used to work in a factory that was very heavily tied to the oil industry, and ups and downs of that chaos of a beast that I don't really like that it exists.
I understand that because my father works for an oil company. For like oil tanker type company. Yeah,
I used to work for a place that their major product that was making them, millions of dollars was gearboxes to raise and lower oil platforms. So they would need like 10 to 20 of these things on each of those little like the arms that would they would hold them up. So like the gearbox for it would be the size of the room we're in.
Yeah.
It would have like 30 or 40 giant gears in it that would just crush you if they fell on you.
Oh God. Yeah.
So that was their big thing, and they were making just all sorts of money, and then they hired more people to keep up with it. Well,
the more people you hire, the less you're going to pay everybody else.
Well, not necessarily that. There was a lot of weird situations with it, but union.
Yeah, I got you.
But because of that, when the orders stopped coming in, the normal rate of what they needed was, just not there. They didn't need it. They didn't need, a third of the people.
Yeah.
Like before they hired more people on.
Right.
So they hired a bunch of people on that they really didn't have jobs for after these orders. So through the nature of, seniority and all the other, union bullshit that you'll end up with the factory. I was one of the first ones to go because I was the first one. I was the last ones hired. So my situation, the reason why I did jump full in was because it was, I just got laid off. I know how that goes. Yeah, so everyone, it's not a great feeling, and everyone's had it happen to them.
Yeah, it happened to me recently, but then I found out a guy I used to work for was working for a different company that I used to work for, and I knew I was still rehireable, so I went and showed up. I was like, hey, I need a job. He's like, throw it out an application, we'll get you in.
And that is a very important note, is no matter what you do, always be solid at networking and actually being a decent person to everyone you know. Because here's the thing. Nothing stays the same.
No, that's one of the... Because what I do, I work with jewelry, and I have to put out really high quality work. Because
all the time, constantly.
Because with my job, it's a job, but also it's an art form, but also it's really high quality, high dollar stuff that we deal with every day. Like I'm not going to mention who I work for, but my boss handed me a $30,000 diamond. He's like, "Hey, I need you to put this in a ring." And I'm like, oh.
And just to kind of put that into perspective, $30,000 diamond. That's like, I don't know, a small house in some places of the state.
It's a small house.
Yeah. That's a small... you could buy a small house in a small town with that much.
Oh, we had a lady come in, wanted to weigh her gold chain, but it was a chain, but it weighed over a pound. It was a giant link gold chain that... Because when you're weighing gold, you can weigh it in ounces, or you weigh it. What we mostly do is we weigh it in penny weights. That's how we get the value of the gold set to the gold value of that day from whoever controls the gold value in this world. I don't really know, but
Goldfinger. Let's say Goldfinger.
Goldfinger. But they're like, hey, when the customer wants to weigh something, he's like, I got a scale. I was like, okay, bring it back. Then she hands me this big ass chain. It's. You undo the clasp, it's over like 1.5 foot long, and the links were compared to the links were about 1/4 inch thick, about almost 3/4 inch wide. Little
almost like a toe chain, like a small toe chain.
Yeah, kind of. I can't for life me remember what the style chain is called, but they'll stand like link chains. But handed it to me, I looked at it was heavy, and I was like, wow, this is really heavy. I looked at the clasp because you can tell what the material is by the stamp on it, whether it be 14, 10, 18 karat gold, or stamped with a 925 silver stamp, or a platinum, or different type of stamps, depending on where it comes from. I was like, holy shit, this is solid 14 karat gold. Solid. I was like, holy shit. And the lady was like, yeah. I was like, she just wants to know how much it is. And it was like, so I put it on my scale. It was 17.1 ounces. And it was just over a pound, because there's 16 ounces in a pound. So it was like 17.127, blah, 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 or whatever. And then I weighed it in penny weights. So that kind of gave me an idea how much it would actually cost. It was over 370 penny weights. Count that in value for gold value at a guess. At a guess, that's a $10,000 chain.
That's
a car.
That's a car.
That's a nice car.
A car.
No, not only that's not a car. That's a nice car.
That's a nice car.
Like I bought my car that I have out there for $5,000. That's
you could buy cars
with that chain. Yeah, and it's like holy shit.
Yeah.
But it's also like I deal with that stuff. I deal with the high quality, and it's like I equate this to how I do my prop work because you've seen the work that I do. I put a lot of time into it because it's a hobby, and I don't really make a whole lot of money at it. So I can put my time into the really fit, fine finish quality that I produce. But also equate that to taking an advice that I've gotten from two bosses working in the jewelry industry. It's like one boss, he's like, you always should do the best quality as you can. Then my other boss told me that you shouldn't put anything out there unless you're proud of it. And I equate that to my prop work. It's like, if I just did a static prop for a con, I won't put as much time into it. But if it's something that I really enjoy working on, I put it into.
There's definitely something to be said, like on the notes of like, is this a static prop? Is this like a functional? Is this a display? Like, to do work that you're proud of for that type of prop is something to always like take into consideration.
Yeah.
Like, is this like your dream project? Like, for instance, like the
Watney's
Watney's
DL44.
Greedo Killer. Adam Watney's Greedo Killer of Watney Props. He's really like his focus is on replicas, like replica costumes, replica props. Like he is interested in reproducing things from the screen, like
exact copy,
exact, and that's just what he's interested in doing, and that's where his level, like that's where he wants to put his level of like time and investment into.
Yeah, and his DL44s that he's been producing are really high quality, stunning quality. To the point where you can drop it in the movie and it belongs there.
Yeah, it would not be it would not look out of place.
No,
if any of the cast were just to be like holding it for like a close up, not just a stunt. But like actually close up, like them for like movie promotions.
Hero
prop
production.
Yeah,
which I commend him for doing that kind of higher quality stuff, doing actual metal work. Because like both he had at C2E2, I held both of them. They were both heavy. One was heavier because it was more accurate, had the more right stuff. But they were
genuine and solid.
Yeah. Watney, if you listen, you're next. I'm coming for you, buddy. I'm getting you on here at some point. I messaged him. I was like, "Hey man, I'm in town. We should hang out later. I'll be here for a while." I was like, "I'm gonna be busy, but we'll see." I was like,
"He's got Celebration."
Yeah,
like that. The picture I showed you of the parts.
Mm-hmm. It's for Celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not only does he have to do Watney level stuff, he has to do Watney level stuff for a commission that's in like something in like a week and a half. He's got like a couple things too. It's not just like.
Oh yeah.
Also, real quick tangent. Screw Con Crunch. Screw all things Con Crunch. I cannot stand Con Crunch. I don't know why I let myself do the C2E2 like attempt at a costume was an utter failure because I know I should never have done. I should have just shown up in my Wolfgar Weapons shirt and just had fun. Yeah. That was not worth it. I wrecked 2 days of my life.
I had a little bit of Con Crunch because mainly because I want to get my Cyberpunk stuff done. Which I did. I got it done, and it turned.
But was that like a detail or two, or like a part or two, not like the entire costume?
Well, I had the pants I already had, the boots I already had. I had shirts made with the car logo Quadro VTEC. I had shirts made through my Teespring store. Then
I need to talk to you about that later.
Yes, we will talk about that later. I found files for the Vindicator that I like the static one that I had, but also then it was like the jacket I had, like the original jacket I ordered off of Wish, which was a bad idea because it came in and it didn't fit. Then I found two more that looked like they're gonna work off Amazon, so I ordered both of them, see which one I wanted to use. The one I didn't use I sent back. The one I did use I kept because it was actually nicer.
That's the greatest thing about Amazon.
Yeah, and also I was able to get that done in time because also I had my 3D printer. I printed the pucks and I had You know, then I did some leather working. You know, I was actually doing leather working the night before I left to add in more detail into the jacket. Because like in the Cyberpunk jackets, I got that big collar. I wasn't able to do that in time, so I kind of just left it out. Which the new jacket I'm going to be doing is going to be more in line to the in game because it's going to be that nice gray color with the big collar with the lights and all the patches. Because I ordered a patch from Russia, the Paradise patch that goes on one of the arms. That showed up after I got back. But it's like, hey, it's like, fuck it, I've got that for the new jacket now. And then I just got a few other details I'm going to have to fabricate to put towards the new jacket. But I was like, because I'm not one and done with costumes, because you obviously know this. I'll update costumes because I have several costumes that I've updated, like my Adam Cats.
Yeah.
That's on its 3rd version, which basically means
Isn't your Ranger on like your 7th version or iteration of this?
My Ranger's on its 3rd.
3rd, okay. Okay.
Because like, say my Adam.
I love your Ranger, by the way. Like, I really don't mean it like, I don't mean that as like me throwing shade or anything. It's the Ranger is something I've always wanted to cosplay myself. Like the Fallout New Vegas is the only one I've been able to like stick with. Like it's the only one I really fully enjoyed.
If you want to do one, we'll build one.
We'll do it,
and we'll do it the right way too, like out of leather, like I did my last one.
And then we'll die in it.
The only reason I was dying in my Ranger armor because I was in Atlanta at DragonCon.
See what we should do.
And
we should do that, and then we should do a winter shoot so we don't die. And we should do it because
there's a place down south in Bloomington. There's a water treatment plant that looks really dope. Me and Freddie scouted out because we drove around Indiana looking for spots. Then like Lafayette was the last stop for the day, but it got late in the day because we were gonna come hang out and shit. But it's like I had to work the next day. Then like it was getting late, and by the time we would have got up here, there would have been dark. It'd been dark, and urbexing in the dark.
Not something you should do.
Not something you should do, because not only is it dangerous. I don't know about the homeless situation up here in Lafayette, but homeless people like to sleep in abandoned places.
Because they get left alone.
Because when me and my brother were urbexing the Central State Sanatorium in west part of Indiana, or Indianapolis, I should mean, we ran across a homeless camp. Luckily, there was nobody in there, but we found a spot where a dude was camping out. And I was like,
that's why you shouldn't. That's why you shouldn't be in places you shouldn't be at dark.
Yeah. Also, Central State. I'm so sad they tore it down and built apartments on top of it, of all things, because
that's a weird thing to put up over.
Yeah. Central State Sanatorium obviously is a sanatorium where they put crazy people, but also. A lot of crazy people probably got experimented on and died there. Also,
the air quote crazy people, which is people that we definitely now could have just easily have helped, but they just tortured essentially.
Back in the 40s, from like the 40s to like the 70s.
Yeah, we'll just drill a hole in your head. That'll help you.
Yeah. Also, I think that shut down in the 90s too, and they just let all those people out on the streets.
That's fucked up.
That's why.
That's not okay. You don't mess people up and then just go deal with society now that we've completely screwed you over.
Probably gave them each about $10. Like, here you go.
You're about $3.50. That's the price of the price of a pack of cigarettes back then, right?
Yeah. Like we parked because they started building apartments around there, so we parked in there. We walked over up to the administration building for the sanatorium, which that was all gated off because they were in the beginning stages of their redevelopment for that area. So there were still the dormitories up, there were still other buildings up. So we walk up to the administration building, realize that it's gated off, couldn't get in there to check it out. There was a manhole right there because we knew there were tunnels running through the entire complex. Yeah. So we dropped down this manhole. We're in a big tunnel, and we can just go. And it's goes from building to building, dormitory to dormitory, to a foundry building, to an air processing center. These tunnels, I found out later, is where they used to chain their more irritable and non-controllable.
Yeah, no.
Patients.
Back in the yield days.
This was back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yeah, no, yield days.
The yield. Well,
it's gonna be 2020 next year. The 70s were 50 years ago. We need to accept this.
Yeah, Jesus.
We need to accept a few things about
now caveat. urbexing, you come across a lot of graffiti.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
People like to graffiti abandoned places. Some of the shit that we read down there and in those tunnels and in those buildings was like, wow, like that's fucked up. But also makes great for photo shoots for post-apocalyptic costumes.
So do it with caution, young lads and lasses.
Like I make sure if you're ever doing urbexing and you're in a state where you can have a concealed carry license, make sure you're probably carrying because you never know what you're going to come across. I had a baton. That was about it. I had my knife and my baton.
Yeah, I was about to say this is one of those things that like
had my Batman gauntlets on, had the spike stick on. I took those off somewhere, laid them down somewhere, then I lost them inside the tunnels.
Well, now that's great. So, they started a fight club with the shit you left in there. Good going.
I think those tunnels are probably filled in by now because they.
Well, they were demoed and then definitely filled in.
Yeah. I think though, if you're a believer of any kind of supernatural thing,
yeah, no, that's not a great.
Building
place.
apartments on top of a sanatorium, not a good idea.
Not a good idea. I know some people that are like diehard believe in that. I'm like, I'm not a person to care too much about like a spiritual element of the world, but I know not to fuck with shit.
Yeah,
I'm not a person that's gonna be like, you know what, people think this place is haunted. I'm gonna go poke this building with a stick. Let's see what it finds. Like, I'm not just gonna go running around possible beehives and hornets' nests.
Yeah,
that may or may not.
When me and Freddie were driving around Indiana looking at abandoned places, I could not get him to go to Central State. Like I said, hey man, let's go check out Central State. I think there's some still buildings left there, there's still one building left over that would be fantastic for photo shoots, but it's all closed off. Mm-hmm. And I got to figure out a way to get back in there for urbexing. He's like, no, I will not fucking do that. You will not take me because Freddie's
a spiritual person.
He is a spiritual. It's funny to listen to him talk about it. If you get him on a tangent, it's pretty funny.
Once again, it's one of those things that every person in the world has a unique view on everything. Like, no, seriously. Think about this for a second. It's like everybody has, like there's like groupings of like people. Oh yeah, I believe in there's a God or there's no God, or I believe in that there's
whatever
a flying spaghetti monster that like controls all of our little brains. Like there's something that people can be grouped into, but every single person will have just a very slight unique take on it.
Yeah, flying spaghetti monster.
Yeah, no.
The pinnacle of imaginary thing.
Right. I mean, like there was, it's really interesting. Like it's an interesting field to like look into, just purely based because I'm a big fan of like stories and storytelling and like stuff like that.
It's part of it's actually part of of what we do.
Yeah.
Is the storytelling behind it. So.
Because I mean, honestly, you could sum up a lot of our costumes in like 3 words. Space Viking, cool. Yeah, that was my space. That was my Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine. That was from like cool. You could sum it up like that, but like there's entire stories told within the details and the costumes and the reference of the character. Like, and then the cool thing about costumes is there's a story of how it was made in the first place for most of them. Yeah. Like I could talk about like for like the Space Wolf, we built the original 5 suits in 3 weeks.
Oh, I know.
3 weeks.
I talked to Wolfgar about that.
Yeah, we all wanted to kill ourselves and each other. It was not the funnest of experiences. But we damn well did it.
Yeah, you did.
But like there's like the characters have most of the time very beautiful stories, or really just ludicrous and funny stories, depending on what you want. But you're very much right, and like there's just it's a part of why cosplay is such a fun thing to do.
Yeah, our buddy Steve from SK's Props, his Wasteland and Alice stories.
Oh my gosh,
background
that's
stories.
So awesome.
Detailed. Talk about just the storytelling of the costume itself. His story backgrounds from all his characters in the Wasteland and Alice is very detailed.
Very detailed, very well done too.
And I bought 2 card decks off him and a coloring book when I first met him, and I found those the other day, and I was like,
"You need to do a stream. Do your next stream. This is how you get back into streaming.
Color all that in." No, I was looking.
Downloadable coloring book props.
5 hours of intense coloring with DLC props.
It's just very thematic, like
Just
epic orchestra music, and it's just you just filling in like a small line. I'm gonna shade this spike here. Though to be honest, like not to like diss it too much, there is something extremely therapeutic about coloring books. Like that's a thing that they have proven.
I haven't used a coloring book in a long time. For me personally, my son's got some coloring books, but
well, there you go. We'll do a stream of your son coloring, in a Disney book or whatever, and then you literally just go.
Well, one, I'm not gonna put my son on stream.
Oh, that's fair
because that's my family. Two, it's like I don't have time to do a coloring book.
It's for do it for the stream.
I can be doing.
Do it for the stream.
There's so much more I could be doing on stream, which I haven't been streaming because I've been doing a lot of background stuff with life and other shit. But it's like,
yeah, I get that. I'm actually probably going to be dropping off the face of the planet here shortly, just so I can take care of a bunch of my own stuff. So yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah, also, because like I was talking to Steve, and he's like, you should be recording your stuff and making YouTube videos. And I was like, yeah, I should do, but also, I don't really have $5,000 to sink into recording equipment and lighting and
then 10 hours for each week that you can get maybe
10 hours
one
per
video
to edit, and it's like that's why I want to talk to Allie is about to see what she uses on her because she does a lot of stuff on her phone. I want to see what apps she uses because I use Adobe Clip on my phone to make those little shorts that I do for my YouTube channel for like the prop showcase stuff. Yeah. But it's like I want to do more tutorials because I've got a list of stuff that I can build easily. I can do tutorials on because I've got several friends who do that. I got friends Punish Props who do that. Steve, which he's back up doing it again. Odin Abbott, Odin makes he has his channel, and it's like got all these friends who do this, and it's like. It almost feels like that. Why? Like I have all my friends who do this, who do it really well, and it's like I almost feel like I would be wasting my time doing this because I have friends who do it. Would most likely to be doing it way better than what I can do.
I
also
get that, but that shouldn't stop you. Well, no, you're doing something. Not only are you doing something that they're not doing, like your specific stuff, but the way, like I just said before, everyone has a unique way of doing it.
Well, yeah,
and something that one person might say might not click with someone else, but what you'll say might click with that one person, and that might just be all they need.
Well, yeah, but also it's like I got a full-time job too. I'm a single dad, and also it's like I get 2 hours a night maybe to work on stuff now with how my schedule is right now. But what I should do is I should just record all of my stuff.
Do a day of recording.
Like record all my stuff as I'm building it, and when the project's done. Just either do a time lapse or do kind of what Steve does. Has his building going on and has a what was the word I'm thinking of? A commentary over it. I could do that, but also it's like I've been recently forgetting to like take progress pictures and record what I do as I'm working on it. Now that I got my Ender 3, my 3D printer, I don't have to worry about fabricating as much when I can have something going on that and I can be doing something else, either finishing something up or starting something new. But it's like,
but then it's a lot of the recording, same.
But also,
it's just you sanding for
5 hours.
Yeah. So it's
I can always just
I've seen
take video of that and save it for April Fools, and it's just me and I sand, I die, I sand again shirt from Corrugate, just sanding on a prompt. Odin Abbott. His last video he did on April Fools is like, let's watch paint dry. He put a canvas down, he got some red paint, he put it on a roller, he rolled one line up and down on a canvas and just sat there for 8 minutes. 6 minutes in, he grabbed an air dryer and started drying it. And he's like, thank you for all supporting me. I'm really happy with this project. It's one of the best projects I've ever done along those lines. And I was like, I was like, there's 8 minutes of watching paint dry. He's literally leaning against his bench and just
watching
paint dry. And I'm like, wow. I'll pull it up later because I want to see how many people actually watched it so far.
Okay, I would definitely be the guy that like I would see it and then I'd be like a minute in, oh, this is exactly what this is. Out. I'll come back to it later.
No, I saw it like about 3 minutes in. He's still sitting there. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like watch like the fast forward and see where he starts talking again. That's when he does the last round. I was like, wow, that's hilarious.
That's hilarious. It would be a great April Fool's Day video. It's a stream. It's an uploaded stream, and it's literally just a time lapse of you just sanding like all throughout the year, and it's just sanding. Nothing ever gets done. Nothing ever gets shut up. It's just you sanding different things.
Punish Prop's last April Fool's video, not this year, but last year, it was him sanding really low on really thick print lines. Just like the ASMR of sanding really slow. It's hilarious. Oh, that's fucking fantastic. Yeah, I need to record more stuff. I need to do.
Me and you have had this conversation
multiple
more
times.
often than any other conversation. Yeah. I feel like it's like, hey, when are you starting that stream, Seth? When are you streaming? I feel like that is the one singular conversation that we just always rotate back to. But hey, we're doing something now.
Yeah, finally. You know, it's one of those things. Is like this as a thing. Mm-hmm. I can do this easily. Mm-hmm. Talking to people about making stuff or whatever, or trying to get to a point at some point, which you kind of just covered, like indirectly, so I don't have to ask you.
Yeah, because we've been talking about a lot of BS, but we haven't really had questions. We haven't had the teleprompter moment.
No, there's no teleprompter
Good.
moment. Because like with this podcast, it's like I kind of like theme it off what Joe Rogan does on his podcast. He talks to people just about whatever.
It's just a conversation.
But like obviously mine's more maker focused, but it's also like we're just gonna talk for an hour or so, and we'll shittily segue the meaning of the podcast somewhere in there. Yeah. Then just bullshit for a little bit longer. You know, it's just easier that way. You have like better conversations. Also, doing it in person, like I was talking about with Miss Madison, my last podcast one of the two podcasts we recorded because one of them didn't turn out well. But we were talking about how doing podcasts in person, you get a better read, you can work off the person easier than what you would be able to do, say, if I recorded one off Skype.
Yeah.
Because I've had the few interviews I've done through Skype, we're good. Some of them didn't turn out because my OBS fucked up or the call crashed. Yeah. Which those two with Evil Ted and Facetious Femme, I need to contact them to redo that. But it's like doing shit in person is just so much better.
It's not only is it easier to do, but like all of the technical stuff, we took less than 5 minutes and had all of this figured out. Yeah. And
not like last time, it fucking took 2 hours of troubleshooting to realize that one stupid little thing was causing an issue with the sound, which I still can't figure out why that was doing it, which is kind of dumb. Because I was doing podcast recording through my stream computer in my shop, but then my OBS started messing up with the recording for some weird reason. I think I had to uninstall and reinstall it or whatever. But then I got the podcast computer laptop so I can travel around and talk to people, which this in itself, open up the laptop, plugged in the mic, ready to go.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because my initial plan is if I can work it out right, turn my podcast into a business, just do podcasts at cons and at people's maker spaces, then just make that into a business.
Now to do that though, you're going to need to be recording to get that going. You're going to need to do this while you're doing everything else, like 3 times a week. This is back to the don't quit your day job thing. Yeah. This is going to go more into the
But also, I don't have any sponsors or anything yet. So if I can build the podcast up more, I get more sponsors.
I mean, this is what one of the things that Patreon is useful for.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask for anything from the start.
No.
You just have it on Patreon.
Yeah.
And you have it where it's hosted normally.
Yeah.
And then you just have a Patreon link, and if you want to support,
release it a day early or something on Patreon.
Release it a day early.
I could do something like that.
No, that's actually like one of the original intended uses for Patreon. Was
I need to, because I also need to figure out, because what I should be doing, because right now this goes up on YouTube, I should also be recording the audio through a separate program, then releasing that on like SoundCloud or whatever fucking.
It's difficult, but like
thing.
that's what propels anything forward. Is nothing needs to be exclusive to a single site. Yeah. Unless that's a paid avenue.
Yeah, because also you got to think like say like on Apple iTunes or whatever. Yeah. Most of the time you got a podcast on there. If they do have sponsors, they always put their sponsors at the beginning. Like they'll like get it taken care of in the beginning, then do the podcast, or whatever other people do is like and during their podcast it's like cuts off and it's a fucking ad, which I kind of find that kind of like breaking, because like you get sucked into a conversation with some people, then all of a sudden you're like, this podcast is brought to you by my ass.
Yeah. The best way to do a break like that is if you actually take a break in the actual podcast. So like instead of it being forced, it's like when there's ever a good stopping point. Yeah. Be like, well, we're gonna go grab some water, right? Or whoever's gonna go grab some water. And so we're gonna take a break and take a minute or two break, and we can go through the plug.
Comedian Tom Segura, Christina P., their husband and wife, they do a podcast called Your Mom's House Podcast, which is fucking hilarious. I love it because they do the most ridiculous shit on there. But also, I was like, okay, well then we'll be back here in a little bit, and then like it cuts, and I was like, we're back. Yeah. But it's also like with this, because like how I say I was kind of somewhat basing it off Rogan's podcast. Yeah. It's like they'll talk for 3 hours straight. Yep. It's like, I gotta piss. Like, go piss, and we'll ramble for a minute or two until he comes back, or I'll talk to his sound engineer. But also, this is like, I'm just gonna do one single long conversation, however long it'd be, hour and a half, 3 hours, which I ended up doing with Wolfgar. Yeah.
Well, James,
he'll talk forever.
James will literally talk forever, and I love him for it because I'm more of the person that doesn't talk at all. Yeah. So, dude, when we work together very well.
He rode up with me to C2E2 because he drew the short stick apparently.
Maybe that, or they just kicked him off the fucking.
When we were driving up there, we talked the entire time because James talks. Yeah. On the way back, we had Brad in James's place. Nobody fucking talked the entire way back from Chicago.
Welcome to James. James will keep the conversation going all the time. Yeah. Which is awesome in a lot of cases, but it's also really not awesome in a lot of cases.
When you're driving for 3+ hours,
it's amazing.
It's fucking amazing.
Yeah. No,
on the way back,
road tripping with James is like one of my it's usually what kicks off my weekends, my convention weekends being so awesome is I get to talk to James for like 3 hours, or if we have when we've gone to Dragon Con for like 7 or 8 or however, like 12 hours, however long it is to fucking go down there.
It took us 12 hours to get down there last time.
That one megabus thing was not worth.
Oh yeah. On the way back, like was not giving up my front as I co-piloted back with James as we were talking shop. Yeah. And everybody else was in the back, because like on the way down there, James was talking, but he was driving, but also like one of the people who were riding down with us, she was feeling sick, and she wanted AC because the AC was broke down in the back, so she kicked Quaid out of his front seat and stole the front seat. But on the way back, she was kind of feeling sick again. It was like Freddie was like, "You should probably let her sit up front." I was like, "Nope." I was talking shop, and talking shop with James is fun.
No, it's incredibly fun. James is,
because we were talking about production and facilities and the productivity of the whole team. Yeah. And like I was giving my outside perspective on for the painting process that Weber does, and all this other shit you guys do. Because say me being a hobbyist, I have that extra time to do the more finer detailing stuff than your guys' production, where you have to do this much in this amount of time.
Well, yeah, where we have to we're kind of bottlenecked into we have to nail it.
Yeah.
In
a day.
We have to nail it in 3 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas, so like that. Actually, if that's a time for a tangent on things, like that's probably like one of the things I've learned the most about is like some things just don't take a whole lot of time and they don't need to be overthought.
Yeah.
So like weathering, I love weathering in many different ways. Some things though don't need it.
No, usually when I'm weathering something like my 10 millimeter,
The 10 millimeter, that's something that needs
didn't need a
needs
whole
layer.
lot.
It needs layers though, because you have like the dirt. You also have like the metallic sheen, and you have some of that stuff going on.
Yeah, but that's why it's like when I did that graphite layer, like that was like the chrome, the dark chrome finish. That's what I needed.
Yeah.
But that's why I did the black wash.
Yep.
But also I based that off the Fallout 76 version of the 10 millimeter than the Fallout 4. The Fallout 4 has a little bit more rust. Time perspective from Fallout 76's time frame is 25 years after the Great War. Fallout 4's time frame is 210
everything
years
will be
after.
rusted out.
Everything's a little bit more rusty. So that's why.
Also, they're in what Massachusetts or whatever.
Fallout 4 is in Boston.
Boston. So like there's
And 76 is in West Virginia.
So that being in Boston, the air itself would be more humid and would be more corrosive to metal.
Yeah, than weather in the valleys of West Virginia, which would just be a little bit majority. But that's why I based it off the 76, is because all it is like you pull up the game model and there's barely any rust on there. That's why I did the dirt, then I added the tiny little simulated rust that I use on there. It's because when I'm weathering something, I let it, not to be like, I let the props tell me what to do. I as I'm doing it, I let it tell me what it wants. It's for when I started going, it's like, do I want to put it here? And it's like, no, I don't think it wants to do anything right
there. It's really fun. It's a really fun part of the creative process to flow with.
Now, if you want to talk about some really, really badass, like in-depth weathering, go follow Vulture Productions, because they do a lot of post-apocalyptic wasteland weekend stuff. And you want to talk about some dirty, weathered shit, those guys got it down packed. And a lot of other people we follow, like they do, when they do their weathering, it's down packed. But unless it's something like in world, like you'd just pick it up and it's dirty, like I'd either just have like a fuzz of dirt on it, or have like grease build up or whatever, or rust spots. I just gotta. I usually think about like if I would have found this in the wild, where would if I were
this in like a pile of just like debris?
Yeah, if I picked it up and I wiped it off, where would the stuff be left over?
Yeah,
that's kind of how I base my weathering off of. And I do the same thing with like the simulated metal, like the Vindicator, how it has some of the weathered spots with the dry brushed silver. Where would, if I were to pick it up, pick it down, what spots would hit more than the others?
Toss it on the table, throw it over to your buddy.
Yeah. That's kind of how I think about when it comes to weathering.
It's a part of the story. It's a part of the story of it. It's weathering is how you give. The condition of a prop is a story in itself.
Yeah. Who's used it? Where has it been? How many hands has it crossed? But like I said, when I'm going to be doing these Blade Runner blasters, I'm going to be doing it probably, I would imagine, around 6.
All the different conditions, different styles.
Yeah, like the weathered, like the Blade Runner blaster. I'm going to try to. If I can do it the right way, I'm going to try to make it look like the original Blade Runner blaster. And there's a shit ton of reference pictures of it now, because it's everybody has pictures of it because it released at WonderCon 12, 15 years ago. Yeah. So I can base my hero style prop around that, which will be 3D printed, obviously, because I don't.
You don't need it. You don't need it to be. Here's metal. You don't need. So we're back to the quality of something that's required. Like for your big caveat. When I say a standard of something, it does not mean that one standard is better or worse than another.
The standard that you put yourself.
The standard of what you want.
Yeah.
So like this kind of jumps back to like Watney is for his standard of what he wants. It's off, like hero prop off the screen. Yeah. Right. A lot of people don't need that, or that's not what they strive to do with it. Yeah. And it, like we've I've gotten some flack for some of the stuff I've made. It's like, well, the quality is not the greatest, but it's like the quality is what I shot for.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be like a lot of the stuff that I do is like extra, like stuff or like stunt stuff or like off or like
If
it fills out a costume part. It's not the focus.
Yeah.
So
unless you're building a small little dagger that sits in the belt of a
Yeah.
dude wearing armor, or he's holding a fucking 2-foot long pulse rifle with an extended barrel with like lights and all this other shit. That would be the focus on the costume rather than the little dagger sitting in the belt.
Or like the string of grenades.
Yeah.
Like with what I do with Wolfgar weapons and props, there's a lot of stuff that like what we sell. We do specific stuff, but like we do sell to cover the variety of what you could need. Yeah, that's where like Wolfgar weapons. That's where our niche is. Yeah, is we're reliable. This is not a blog. This is just what like as a business what I try to strive for.
Right. This podcast is not brought to you by Wolfgar Weapons and Props. This is just an interview with a fucking low-life shop grunt.
Low-life shotgun. Let me tell you here, Sonny. I've technically been doing this. I've been doing props more than what most people have been doing in this state.
Yeah.
At this point. At this point, I've been doing this for 3.5, almost 4 years.
I'm on my 5-year mark coming up.
5-year mark. Well, that's 3 to 4 years. Wolfgar weapons. I did it. I've been doing it since 2013. So
you could consider me a contractor for Wolfgar Weapons.
Yeah, so. You've definitely you're on the list of like the prop mercs that we have.
Yeah, I'm on the website.
Yeah. Yeah. So like,
I forgot about that. I'm listed of the collaborators of Wolfgar Weapons and Props.
But so for like the quality of work thing, like it's not like we talked about this before. Whereas Adam was really invested in getting like a pewter, like a metal.
Richard A. Coyle Blade Runner Blaster kit.
So,
which Richard A. Coyle Blade Runner Blaster kit is well worth the money because I've looked into those. Before I met you guys and when I first found out like about the Blade Runner Blaster, because like a little side note, because the Fallout New Vegas, like we talked about, the gun in that game called That Gun, which is modeled after the Blade Runner Blaster. Yep. That's how I found out about the Blade Runner Blaster because words are hard. Yes. I found out about the Blade Runner Blaster because of that gun. Yeah. I became obsessed with the form of that gun, which then I found the Blade Runner Blaster. Then I became obsessed with the form of the Blade Runner Blaster. Mm-hmm. Now that I have my 3D printer and I can make the 3D files that I have, that's why I say I'm going to be doing about 5 or 6. I'm going to be doing the Blade Runner Blaster, a newer version, then a weathered version of the movie. Yeah. Then I'm going to buy Builder Rand's files that he has up for sale. Then I'm going to make one that's weathered, then one that's brand new. But then I'm going to take another print that I'm going to modify that to look like that gun from Fallout New Vegas, and that's when I'll have to do molding and casting because they don't exactly match up with each other. No,
it's definitely like. It's like a cosplayer's, attempt at a blurry movie from the 70s. That's what that gun is. Like, it's a great,
great piece of art. A lot of, because you know me, I build a lot of Fallout shit. Fallout is my main.
Look at shit. Your font is literally from fucking Bethesda's fucking art team. Come on.
Yes, my logo is the font, and also the podcast logo is the font as well, as long as with your name too.
There we go.
So until Bethesda tells me, hey, you can't use our font anymore.
Which, I mean, I think they have bigger things to worry about.
Like some fucking maker in India who makes Fallout stuff and sells t-shirts.
I feel like a lot of companies feel this way. I feel like, because I like you talked to like that guy who did the concept art for the masks, from Skyrim and stuff like that. It's like it's really flattering to have people make artwork.
Yeah, Bethesda loves it. Yeah, they love it. They just don't like it when you make a lot of money at it.
Make a lot of money. Also,
Disney doesn't matter if you're making a lot of money at it. They're like, hey, you're selling stuff from stuff we own. You need to stop that right now.
The only two that I've ever had a massive issue with, and it's kind of funny to me, because I'm not gonna go too hard. I'm not gonna name the names technically, but I'm going to leave this up to your knowledge. Anything that was published by the company that does Overwatch, as they are not happy about things when people sell stuff.
No.
Copyrights are a really weird thing.
Yeah, they are. And you know, it's not
for just reason too.
Yeah,
like
it's not your intellectual property. You didn't come up with it yourself. Now, if you mix, because like that's why one of the reasons why I like Bethesda. One of their E3s, they showcased in one of their like commercial videos in between little things when they were going to talk about some Fallout stuff. Is they showed a ton of people in Fallout costumes and props that they made. They showcased for a good couple minutes of all this amazing shit people are doing. Yeah. So it's not like they love it just as much as I love their stuff. And
if there's anybody that's like, especially like on indie level right now, that are doing video games or anything of that nature, if someone wants to cosplay from your thing,
it's more
let them do it. Yeah. Because guess what? It's advertising.
Yeah, it's free advertising.
It's free advertising. It's free. Now let's just say if they're saying a bunch of dumb shit that you don't agree with, then there's plenty of reason to get involved with them.
Like, hey,
but like,
appreciate what you're doing. Just don't talk.
Yeah, just keep doing you and leave me out of the. But the thing is like all the prop builders that do like stuff, like do the props. No one's ever claimed that that's theirs.
No.
It's that's not
they do like what I do is like this is from this. This is how I made it. This is where you can get it for free. Or this is where you can buy it. Blah 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 blah.
And like that's a big thing too. I do understand that like intellectual property is something that needs to be like it is a concern.
Respected and
it's respected. Like as an artist and myself, like I would feel. I would be mad if someone literally did exactly what I did and then claimed it as their own, or like took something of mine and tried to do it.
And that does happen in our community.
It happens in our community. Thankfully, not as often as it used to, because once again, we've we
have the internet, so we have the knowledge.
Yeah, we have the knowledge. And we can make the community better. That's the awesome thing about it is we can make it better. And that's where like the whole there was like when I first started getting into it, like the recasting thing was a huge problem.
Yeah.
Because people would just it was really bad. Like people were having to try to like stamp their work. And then people were like there was like especially when the Iron Man stuff was big, like there was I think there was like 2 or 3 guys that just recast everyone's stuff. Yeah. And just trying to sell it as their own.
Yeah,
Batman stuff the same way too.
Every time I pop on the RPF,
it's always a recaster.
Yeah, it's like I don't do it as much. I haven't used the RPF in a long time, but every time I would hop on there, usually the first couple posts is like recaster alert. Now, as like the gray area of recasting, if you bought something like say as I'm using this example because I heard it on a podcast, is you buy a grenade from like say you're doing like a Terminator costume, like somebody selling one grenade at said cost, and you need a whole belt of them. Yeah. Now, if you don't have the money for that, and like say you can spend $100, put it in silicone, and cast up what you need, and if you're just doing it for yourself, then I don't see much of a problem.
I would say that's not a problem. It's a problem if
you start selling
it. If you start selling it and saying that it is yours. Yeah. So like, I mean, there's like it's a big example for any details like for a costume in general. Like, I'm gonna need one part for a set of like Star Wars rotary blaster that I'm about to do. And instead of 3D printing 26 of these things, I'm making a cast.
Yeah, 3D print one, finish it up, make a mold, and do the other 25 you need.
Yeah, it's not, it's just kind of common sense to not waste your time with all that stuff. Also, if the source that you're getting it from is like unreliable time frame wise, like there's a lot of surplus stuff that you're just not going to be able to get fairly often. There's a lot of like parts, like vintage parts, you're not going to be able to get again. Yeah. So like I get that. But like it's a big difference between doing details for your costume and then literally buying of someone's art and literally remolding, just recasting and then distributing it as yours.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
No, that's and that's why like I get the whole like IP like things like they see that very similar.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's not one of their fields.
Yeah.
Like
unless they
Bethesda did come out with their own Super Sledge and Fallout like Pip-Boy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they technically have grounds to be mad about anyone else selling those specific things. But at the same time, though, like they don't care because as long as no one's claiming that they're Bethesda.
Yeah.
There's no like they don't have to go after you.
Yeah, like you know me. I've bought several. Obviously, the Spirit Halloween Pip-Boys. I have a lot of those now.
Yeah.
I still have a lot of those now. And I've bought, I bought the Fallout 4 Special Edition with the Pip-Boy. I recently got another one that was pretty cheap. I bought 3 of the Fallout 76 kit Pip-Boys. Yeah. I have 2 of the Power Armor Edition helmets now.
You're an enthusiast of this.
Yeah. But I can take that and turn it into content, though.
Yeah.
Now, a caveat that I am going to be selling the Spirit Halloween Pip-Boys as repaints.
Yeah, but you're not.
But I'm not going to be
not claiming that you're.
I'm not claiming that it's. I'm claiming it as my work as a repaint, but I'm not claiming it as the product is mine.
Yeah.
Now they could take that and say, as like a throw-out number. Say I sell a repaint at $75. I have 15 of those left. If I sell all 15 of those at $75, and they see that I've made set amount of money, they may send me a cease and desist, and I'll be like, okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
But it's not going to stop me from repainting for myself.
Yeah. No.
Or for trades or whatever.
For trades or for a friend.
Yeah. It's you gotta respect the C&Ds that you get from companies, and we both know people who've had those.
I mean, I've had cease and desists.
Yeah.
So I've had those scary letters that are like worded in a way that sounds like they are they're like watching you from a window right where you're reading them. I've had the letters. I've had the we know you're doing this. You're not going to keep doing this, or these things are not going to go well for you.
I was like, Senpai noticed me, but Senpai is mad.
Senpai noticed me, and I don't like this. That's what a cease and desist is. Right. Senpai noticed you, and he is not happy. I need that on a shirt now.
We'll make it happen. Oh, I had this idea of sad anime t-shirts. Sad anime moment t-shirts. Like, caveat, this triggers a lot of people. Nina from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, yeah.
Just have like a little, those small cartoony face, but have that as Chimera Nina, and it says Edward ... Do you want to play ... And on the back just have the splattered Nina thing against the wall from Scar killing her.
Yep. Well, you could make a booth with that.
Oh, I could, and I would trigger so many anime geeks. It would be hilarious.
There are so many weird things you see at booths at cons anymore. There's so many weird things. Not even the stuff that makes you uncomfortable, just strange things.
Like a mutual friend of ours who I won't name, who has a Bowsette body pillow.
Yeah.
With one side clothed, one side not.
And there's booths that sell those at cons.
Yeah, it's weirdest fucking thing too. Is at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I saw that at Comic-Con last time I was there here in Indy.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck are you selling this? Here, of all places.
Yeah, no. It's once again, though, it's another one of those things. Everyone's got their lives. Everyone's got their things.
And sell that shit online like the rest of the weird people.
Well, here's the thing with Comic-Con. It's for the weird people, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
There's just some people with little different weird things.
It's like, Daddy, why are you buying a body pillow with a half-naked woman on it? Don't tell your mother, son.
And don't look on the other side.
Yeah, no. What was it? I think it was was at PopCon or Comic-Con. There was a booth. They were selling the body pillows, but they had them turned around with the naked. Yeah. But they had Post-it notes on the breast and the other areas.
They had Post-it censorship.
I was like, what the fuck?
No, there's plenty of people that.
It's like you saw that at Anime Central. Where did you see that shit?
I mean, it's a con culture thing entirely. Like
it's weird. I'm not bashing it.
It's just weird and entertaining in a weird way.
Yeah, it's like.
Also, like I've seen some really strange creation things too. Like there was like a booth at C2E2 that sold plushies of a cat octopus hybrids. And like I get what I do as a living is weird. but like that's like an acid trip idea. And apparently they make enough money that they could afford a C2E2 booth. So apparently that's a thing.
It's like that's weird.
That's weird. So like I've seen a lot of things in my life that I didn't think I'd see because of conventions. And like I said, that's a thing that I've seen.
I've seen weird things. I've seen some weird cosplay.
I've seen some weird cosplays that like didn't make sense until I thought about them, and then I was like, "Oh my god, that's brilliant!"
Do you know how Freddy does not like furries?
Oh god, yeah.
I
was once used as a shield.
Every time we're at a con together, I point out when I see one.
Oh yeah.
To him.
Yeah, of course.
It's hilarious. But there's at C2E2 there was this girl dressed up as a pony.
Okay.
Like not like My Little Pony, but like you could say in that weird like fetish thing people do with ponies, but she was bright pink. She was a slightly plus-sized woman, and she had hooves, and she was sparkle and glorious in her own way. So I was like, "Hey, can I take a picture?" I sent it to Freddie, and I was like, "She says hi."
God damn. And that was the day that Freddie launched his phone into the abyss, never to be seen again.
Here it is. Yeah, that's what I sent to him.
Okay.
I'm not. No. It's not weird. No, not weird at all. Because that's what she wanted to do. It's just a weird thing you see at a con.
Yeah.
I just happen to have a friend who's deathly afraid of furries and that type of stuff.
I don't know why.
It's weird.
They're mostly harmless. They've got their interesting things about them, but so does everybody.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've known people that that are furries and have their fursonas and whatever. Yeah. And like, there's some weird things to do, but also a lot of people have weird things that they do. There's literally an Exoticon in Chicago. So like, there's a lot of weird things that people do. It's not exclusive to like people that do furries. Now I'm not saying that I like, go do that. I'm just saying like, I've seen so much things that I'm not weirded out by a lot of things.
Yeah, more power to them. They want to do.
Yeah, no,
it's whatever. It's like do your thing.
Life.
As long as you're not like impeding on anybody's like personal space or health or whatever. It just doesn't give a fuck.
As long as you're not harmful to yourself or other people.
Yeah.
It's
whatever.
It's too short of a life to give that much of a
Sometimes it's fucking hilarious and it's funny to see.
Hilarious.
And also other times like that's just weird.
It also depends on what people do. Like you can make anything weird by what a person does.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing. Like you can make like the most wholesomest of things just really uncomfortable.
Sometimes it's one of the best things you'll ever see though.
But no, conventions are great places.
Yeah. Everybody I've met at conventions is the nicest fucking people. There's been a few people here and there that haven't been really cool.
I mean, it's what happens whenever you have a giant community.
Yeah. Also I'm a part of the Fallout community. A lot of them on Facebook, and I see a lot of ups and downs. But the most part, it's just like
never joined the Warhammer groups.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to because I don't think I'll ever build a Warhammer.
No,
I was gonna help a friend build a Warhammer armor about 3 or 4 years ago, and good thing we didn't do that because one, like I hadn't even thought about the idea of building a costume yet. It's something at that caliber.
Yeah.
But then it's like I'm gonna buy the materials, then we'll build it. It's like okay, well I got Epicure files. We can print those out large and do that way. But it's like then it like never happened. I was like, thank God.
It's an endeavor. I will say that.
Now I say if
gaming communities in general are very polarized sets of people.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest issue with like gaming communities is they don't have the social switch from like giving each other shit to this is not about giving each other shit. You're literally just like berating someone that does not get the joke.
Right.
Like, cause like if you've ever like, I play way too much League of Legends, and there's a lot of dumb shit that gets said. And like, I mean, I can literally, log in, and at the champion select, there's just a slew of bullshit I will never repeat in my life that just goes through. And like, no one asked for this. No one asked for any of this. And like, it's a thing that's so prevalent in like all gaming, like anything competitive gaming, that's a thing. It's a weird, it's an internet social ineptitude, honestly, is what I kind of feel like it is, because it's everything social it's just a switch flipping back and forth. So when you can make a joke that might be a little like to like like making a joke about like furries and like upsetting somebody, or like making Freddie uncomfortable, but like it's fine because it's just a joke.
It's all in
You're not
jest.
trying. Yeah, it's a jest, but there's I don't know, people that have such an internet heavy culture,
but it's also
don't have those switches.
It's also got to figure out who's 13 and who's socially awkward living in their mother's basement.
In their brain, and not just in the world. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying no. That's whatever. It was like a large group of us play Fallout 76 online because it's an online game. Yeah. All of us are cosplayers. All of us go to we're the Dragon Con group on Fallout 76. That's what we are. A bunch of us are. Yeah. And like, we'll be playing, then some fucking rando griefer comes up and just fucking destroys us because their level 300, we're level is from like 50 to 100 to 100.
Yeah, because you got that one guy who literally only lives this stuff and then just wrecks people just to feel better about himself.
Yeah. And we don't run across a whole lot of griefers on that game in general because we server hop to resource out things. But then I got a friend, every time she's like, for some reason, her camp, because you can build camps in the game at random places, she always has people showing up at her camp that aren't a part of the team. And they like, you can break into somebody's camp if their door's locked. Now you become wanted in the game when you do that. Yeah. Then people can hunt you. But also like they break in, they use her stuff for like to scrap resources or to cook or sleep or get water or whatever. Then they destroy her camp. Like 4 or 5 of them will show up, break in, do what they need to do, then just destroy her camp.
That's annoying.
Since we're constantly hopping around the map, we know where our camps are. We can see if anybody's at our camps. Yeah. Nobody's ever at my camp because my camp is located in a very weird, secluded place that you can't really get to. That's why my camp is big and ginormous and glorious.
Because it's a part of strategy to it. Yeah. It's a lot
also
like
we're scattered across the map because we can fast travel to each other's camps to get to the other parts of the map without having to spend 10 minutes walking or paying camps to travel. But also like
it's a lot like Ark in that situation, isn't it too, where you have to build something from close to nothing and then you have to like defend it.
Yeah. Well, when somebody's at your camp and they start attacking it, like, there's not a whole lot if you can do if they're like 50, 60 levels higher than you are. Because
even if you try to nuke them, it just blows your camp up.
Yeah, and also it costs resources to repair all the stuff in your camp. And now when you beat the game, you get plans to build a radiation arc, which you can cure your radiation. I finally beat the game. It took me forever to get the resources to build the arc. Yeah. We were at my camp, some rando dude shows up. One of the few people who've ever shown up at my camp just destroys my camp. Like, destroys it. And it took me forever to get the resources to rebuild that one thing because it took so much to rebuild it. Because you get griefers like that in the games.
I mean, also, on a side tangent of like gaming and stuff, look at griefers, but also it's a power thing too of like...
It's like, you have no control over me destroying your stuff.
That, and as a weird sadistic like side of strategy to it, if you're constantly destroying everything that's below you, then no one is ever going to get above you. Yeah. I don't like to play that, so I wouldn't like... Mm-hmm. The only reason, like, it's weird that I even play League of Legends because it's a strictly competitive game. It's the only, like, I am definitely more of the Minecraft guy. I'm just gonna go build a happy little house over here on this cliff. It's cool.
Yeah, that's why because like 76 is the only online game I play. Because all the other games I play is like it's just me.
Yeah.
You know, I can just sandbox it and just go do whatever I want for an hour if I don't want to feel like playing the story. But also when I'm playing video games, you could say I'm technically doing work research.
Because you're looking at the structure of the props.
Structures, the props, the costumes, some weird ass little object in the game that I might want to build. That's mainly like why I play video games more. Because like right now I'm playing Red Dead 2 again, and I'm checking out all the gun mods and modifications.
Treyvik's revolvers are so nice.
I'm going to be buying 2 of his. I'm going to be buying the Schofield and the volcanic pistols kits from him.
If you did those up graphite.
Oh yeah, I really want the Schofield.
You might be able to convince him to do. Well, you can do is you can get the grips.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do stand them down and then do a cast, like do a mold for like doing the ivory.
Mm-hmm. Actually, what I'll do is when I order his kits, the grips from the guns, I'll trace those out of some mahogany that I have, and I'll carve wood grips for them.
There you go.
Because I did the same thing for my Malcolm Reynolds blaster.
I still need to do that holster.
Didn't I give you the plans?
No, you did. I literally have plans for a holster that I can laser cut.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least trace. You know, I have like 500 things on my list. I still haven't even built jacks. Like, come on. I have the fabric for jacks.
Small steps, dude. Small steps.
It is. It's small steps that are ever increasing in momentum. And
Do you know how many projects I've got going on right now?
You don't want to see my shop.
You don't see my shop either. I've got projects everywhere.
I have totes. I'm also in charge of rework.
That sucks.
So not only do I have my projects that I want to do outside of the shop, I have the projects for R&D that are still stuck in R&D hell for the shop. I have stuff that needs to be reworked. I have stuff that I want to make, but I haven't like really officially done rework or R&D for. And then I have all the stuff that I need to do and all the old stuff that I should do, but I pushed it back because it wasn't priority.
That's why 3D printing is so amazing.
I would.
You gotta.
I have a love-hate relationship with 3D printing. I'm not gonna lie. I've had some 3D printers absolutely destroy my faith in it.
My Ender 3, it's pretty nice.
I'm actually thinking about getting one.
It's a smaller print bed.
It's
like 320 by 320 by like 4.
That, right?
Say
it's about this.
Yeah, something like that's probably about the print bed's probably about that.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's good for hand props. Yeah. And if I need to do a helmet, I can splice it out that way.
I mean, if I'm
like
going to do
the T-Rex you guys got in the shop over here,
can print full helmet.
Print a full helmet. I would love to have one of those. I want a printer that prints full helmets.
That's why we invested with that one there at Matchbox was Matchbox plug.
Where we're at right now.
We have a maker lab here, which has 3D printers, laser cutter, a desktop CNC, paint hood, plenty of work tables, wiring kits, literally anything that you could prototype and any small capacity that would fit on a table, you can make. It's actually a really great place to prototype and do stuff. We've probably been talking for fucking forever, haven't we?
No, I'm just checking time. We'll wrap up soon.
Okay. I feel like we don't get to talk very often.
No,
and I don't.
Because you live far away.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Hour, 10 minutes.
It wouldn't be so far away if I didn't. Like, if I left Lafayette often, it wouldn't be that far away. If I went and visited people in Indy more often, it wouldn't be that far away.
No.
It's just because I can't leave this city.
Yeah, I want to be doing hopefully some more traveling soon to visit friends. I want to go travel and do podcasts with SKS Props and Wildcard, Pope and Steve.
They're the two people that I would actually love just to hang out with and actually spend some time with because.
Oh, I love hanging out with those dudes.
I got to know Scott really well when we were going to. It was PopCon or Wizard World. And we had like an hour or two drive, and me and him were just in the car. We were just talking about life and stuff. He's a really
Oh, he's a good dude.
He's a good guy. He's emotional. He's like emotionally mature person.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of good life advice, and he's got a really good head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Which
I met Pope at PopCon, actually, because him and Steve were doing a panel. I was like,
that might have been the one because Steve had his booth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his wife was there with him. Because because when I met Pope, he was doing a panel with Steve, and we popped in, and apparently he knew who I was, because like he name dropped me during the panel with people who build foam. I was like, hi. No, because I walked in and he saw me and he was like, hey, what's up? And I was like, hey, what's up?
I was like, hey, what's up?
No, then I started talking. I was like, I think I met him before. When he was at your guys' booth.
Yeah.
I think like the con before or something. So I think I actually met him. I just didn't realize I met him.
Mm-hmm.
But Pope's a really good dude. Steve's a really good dude.
If you
hanging out
want
with
to learn how to work with foam, Steve's tutorials are fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
Also, this HD foam, using it on that
Yeah.
helmet there, I'm so excited.
Did you get some HD foam in? No. I'm waiting.
It's great shit.
I'm
Like
waiting.
I'm not just hyping this shit up. Like it's really good.
Yeah,
I really want some of the detailed owls.
Mm-hmm. I've got I bought one of everything when he released.
Triangle ones.
Yeah. Now caveat, I didn't buy one of everything. I bought the.
Did you buy the pack?
I bought 6. I bought the pack for the foam mats. Then I bought the dowels, triangle dowels, square dowels, whatever. Then I bought the foam clay.
Okay.
My foam clay arrived the other day, so I've got that. I'm just waiting on my other foam to come in because I'm going to build another shish kebab in HD foam. So I'll have my TNT shish kebab, then I'll have my HD shish kebab.
I like that. And also a big thing is I do really like TNT's foam.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's really good as well, and they really set the pacing to go forward.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing though. The people from TNT Cosplay Supply, they're fantastic people.
Yeah,
I hung out with them at Dragon Con. My buddy Chris, or Talk Custom, works for them.
Yeah.
Now, the thing with Steve's foam is high density foam. It's good foam. I've seen the samples. It looks really nice. His thing is he doesn't want to put TNT out of business.
No.
You can use HD foam with TNT foam.
Yeah, no.
That's one of the things he's saying. You can use the foam with TNT foam. No. And that's one of the things I'm going to be doing because I still have my stock of TNT foam.
Well, same as I do. I think the only thing that I note that are noticeably different comparatively are the dowels.
Yeah.
And
from what I understand, from what some of the other makers that I'm friends with has said, that the quality and density of the HD foam is similar to the stuff that they get in Germany and Austria, because Svetlana from Community Cosplay, she uses gray high density foam.
Yep, it's the same type of stuff.
It's we're on the same quality of stuff. So when I get my stock in, because I'm going to be building, like I said, I'm going to be building a new shish kebab, I'm going to try to record all of it and do a video on it. But also, I want to make sure that I can compare and contrast different materials for whatever it needs, because I build a lot of stuff out of foam when I get a chance, because I'm mixed media. But if I can have two good reliable sources for foam, then I'm going to use both. Then as I'm building, what the good thing about the gray foam is you can see when you draw it on there. You can do it with a pen. You don't need a white charcoal pencil or a silver sharpie like you do with TNT foam. But at the same time, it's I have a higher density than a slightly less density. You can get a lot of different stuff.
Also, you can do the only thing that I will say that the darker colored foam has an edge on just innately is that if you tear into it by any means, if there's if you're doing any shoe or boot armor that's going to get scuffed up, if it's darker, it's not going to show up.
Yeah.
That's a weird off note. That's just a thing. I've definitely planned around that for some of the stuff that I've done, because you're if it's boot cap armor, it's gonna get fucked up.
Yeah.
It's just going to get fucked up. So if it's a darker foam, it won't show.
Yeah.
It won't show as much. Just don't ever build anything that's going to get wear on it out of the kitty foam like kiddie foam floor mats. Just don't. I don't want to like once again, you can do what you want to do, but I don't want to see neon green showing through your Space Marine. I just don't. Like we have alternative. We have the technology, guys.
We have the technology. We can build it bigger and better. Yeah, no, like
and it's also not very expensive.
Did you watch the costume contest at C2E2?
I saw a very little bit and I heard a lot of it. I didn't have a whole lot of interest in it because it is a costume contest, and I heard there was Joanne is supposed to be coming out with an EVA phone.
Yeah.
And then there was some stumbling of words that I'm not going to. Here's the thing: I'm not a good public speaker. Public speaking is an actual skill. That's actually but this is a part of where I wanted to go with the costume contest. Is you can have the judges that should all be like one of the part of the three parts of the cosplay contest, right? But they all need to be
good speakers.
They need to have a public speaking voice.
Yeah.
Which, if you're going to lose the quality of the reputation of the judge, like if you got to get lower to get that level to balance out right, you have to do that. Also, announcers, please God fucking hire someone that's decent at doing that. please. We will start a GoFundMe for it. Just come on.
What I was gonna say, because now that we have both TNT cosplay supply foam and HD foam from our friend SK's Props, when I heard, because we already it was tossed around that Joanne's going to come out with.
I mean, they're constantly coming out with new stuff in general.
Yeah.
So it was only a matter of time, really.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was surprised that they had it already.
I think they knew that Steve was coming out with his foam. That's why they announced it at the con. But the same,
I mean, it's one of those things that
people. I don't want to get into too much, but what basically I want to say is it made me laugh really hard for the fact that they just glossed over that one little detail.
They glossed over a detail that was very important, and I feel like also is a bad time to talk about it.
Yeah. I was just like...
It was literally hard stopping something that people were caring
about. We
about.
knew that they were going to announce it. We were watching. We were there. All of us were in the room watching because Steve knew about it. Steve was... I'd say he kind of seemed a little nervous about it because he was launching the following Monday. But it was like you got nothing to worry about. But then they did that, and I laughed so hard. I was like, you've got nothing to worry about because they just not to shit on this company because I do buy from that company.
No, I
for some fabrics, but it's also I was like, wow, they just totally screwed that whole pooch.
Launch is everything. So Steve, I was very proud of him with the way he launched his new line of materials because it's also a jump from what he used to do, what he's used to doing. But the biggest thing about anything that you will try in your life, if you're doing it, do it with a smart head. Think about it first.
Yeah, and he obviously thought about it.
He planned it and he executed it.
And he executed it perfectly because.
But also he did it smart. He didn't do it live.
No. that was
don't if you're doing live announcements like that. That's something that needs to be practiced and pulled off almost in a robot fashion of perfection.
Yeah. Which, I will say
I'm not dissing any I'm not dissing it's a really hard thing to do. It's something I know I couldn't do.
Yeah.
So and this is not me passing harsh judgment on it. It's just it's hard, and I understand how hard it is to nail it perfectly.
The CEO of the company came out and not that great of a costume.
It was his first costume, which that's not what you parade around on a costume contest. That's the perfection of costume contest.
The amount of caliber of creativity in that costume contest, because I had several friends who were in that costume contest who won, Brittany Ganoza costume. She won first place overall. Yeah. My buddy Sam from Bio Cosplay won first place.
Sam's a great guy.
First place in effects with his Warcraft troll.
And then Justin placed, didn't he?
No, Justin didn't place, but Amber Bedoni cosplay, she won 3rd place in armor.
Didn't Sun and Fire Keegan get 3rd place in FX? Same, the Metroid cosplayer?
I think so.
Yeah.
I am not exactly sure. Mainly because I was only paying attention to my friends over the costume contest.
I've known Keegan. Actually, I've known Keegan longer than I've known anyone else.
Yeah.
In the cosplay world.
No, because I know I've kind of mentioned this the past 2 podcasts now about the costume contest. Awesome caliber of creators and cosplayers and makers. The judges, 2 of them I know have been doing costume contest judging for a long time because they used to do
staples of the community.
Unfortunately, I'm not saying not unfortunately, but I've talked to both of them before, and
there's a lot of disagreements.
I say different because I'm pretty sure they're both nice people. Mm-hmm. I've talked to both of them; they are generally nice people, but also of other things I've heard and seen myself. I'm not to get to it, but I kind of what I was trying to say is like I think the costume contest judging should have been a little bit more diverse.
Oh, the fact that we didn't have any judges from any of the other countries was a giant slap in the face.
Yeah, that was my
like if I was someone that had been flown in, I would have literally thought it was a joke.
Oh, I'm pretty sure everybody who came in from other countries thought it was a fucking
paid
joke.
For me to fly in.
Nothing.
And it was all represented by the people that are in this country's community, that have been in this country's community, that probably just voted for the people that they were already going to vote for anyway.
Yeah. And
they should have had like a 10 panel of judges.
Oh yeah, they should have had judges from
everywhere. They should have had one judge from every contestant. Should have had one judge that also went too.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I know that's hard to pull off.
It is hard to pull off because not everybody.
That's also one of the things that's like that would have made it good.
For world championship?
Yes, it should have been a world event. You should have had.
Yeah, I don't want to go off on a big tangent on it because I don't want to make myself sound like
this is not like I love Reed Pop. Don't get me wrong, I love Reed Pop. But once again, this is back to the conversation of like costume contests aren't evolving like the rest of the community is.
Yeah, like they screwed the pooch on that. It's because being sponsored by the company that it was sponsored by.
Yeah.
Had a representative of their company as a judge.
That's
not that good of an idea. Now, granted, the person who won 1st place in the championships overall, her costume was fantastic. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And so
it's not to discredit any of the winners.
Not discredit any of the winners at all.
Yeah.
Now, I was just thinking, like, if you're going to have a world cosplay contest finale, you should have judges from. No, it didn't have to be a judge from every district. You could have picked out.
You could have picked
5 people. Yeah. One from the U.S., one from South Africa, one from Germany,
wherever
Taiwan,
the repop, wherever the fuck it was at. Just one of them.
Yeah.
From each of those places.
I really feel like they screwed the pooch in the fact that they
only had American
judges and a representative from the company who was sponsoring the event. That really seems like. The fact that
it was unbalanced,
and it was kind of unfair. Now, I'm not saying
because if you would have had one from every representative of if each of those winners had one, because then it would be voted purely on who did the world scale think that was the world winner. Yeah. It wasn't who did the American
now,
or this, and it would have been the same thing if it would have been like a world event that was held in Tokyo.
Yeah. Now if they did the C2E2 costume contest, people still had the same 3 judges, and they did that, and they picked somebody who they picked somebody, or the person they picked to go to the championship who won the championship. Yeah. Now, if they would have picked that person, then they're like, okay, now we're bringing in judges from judge the championship as a whole. That would have been perfectly fine.
That would have been. No, that's best recommendations on how you.
Yeah, it's disappointing the fact that
I would definitely have been more interested in watching it.
Yeah, it would have
I
been
wouldn't
more.
have felt like this is just a we're just gonna pick another.
It would have been more interesting, but also
It also would have been more of a show.
it would have been more of a show, and not to discredit
Not to discredit anyone.
not to discredit the person who won overall, because her costume, like I said, her
Yeah.
costume was fucking amazing. She had a little thing that was spinning on the back of
Yeah.
her head. It was fantastic. I just feel like the overall championship cosplay thing would have been more entertaining to watch than
With more balance.
two models and a representative judge a contest. Now I know one of them was a model, one of them was a cosplayer. Like they're both cosplayer. One's a model, and one actually kind of makes them.
One has more of the both sides of it.
Yeah, and then the representative. I'm not saying they did it.
Once again, it's back to the like.
Not saying they did a
you need
shit
one
job.
yeah.
But I feel like as a whole, it could have been way better, and it would have been way better if they would have done things differently. Now that being said, that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
I've never judged a costume contest. I've only been in one shitty little bar costume contest. I'm just some fucking maker from Indy.
It's
like I said, like this isn't a representation of how those people are or who runs the events, because I don't know these people.
Also,
personally.
if anything else, these are only suggestions to
make things better as well.
Because that's what we want. Like it's not because we're like, oh well, it's just shit. It's like, no, we want to see it get better because we care.
We care, and we want our community.
We want to see this get better and grow so that it's more enjoyable for everything and everyone involved.
Yeah.
It's just a really interesting time, to be honest, because we went from like you couldn't talk about being a cosplayer.
Now it's more mainstream. You can talk about being a cosplayer and a maker.
Like when I first got into this, it was a big thing to have a separate name entirely that you went on. Like you had an entirely different media account.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't let your employer know that you were a cosplayer.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing when I first started was you don't let anyone know this because this can affect you extremely negative in your career. And in a lot of ways it still can in a lot of fields.
A lot of the people that we know who are Patreon models,
they still have to do that.
They still have to do that because
which is unfortunate, but like it's not necessarily like the way we want the world to work. It's just the way the world works.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. No. Because I know I've my boss and my boss knows what I do. Like usually, because when people ask me what I do, because I'm not a cosplayer, I'm a maker. I do some cosplays. I just tell people I make stuff from movies and games. Yeah. Occasionally, if I'm lucky, I'll get a movie commission. Yeah. Now, the last one I had kind of fell off the wayside. I'm kind of waiting for him to get back on the horse. But like, hey, we're going to finish this movie.
Filmmakers are even worse to deal with than cosplayers.
I want to build that fucking armor, even though it's for a Power Ranger movie. I still want to build it.
You know what, man? I love filmmakers. I really do. I really do. I would love to be a filmmaker myself, but god damn, can I not stand the back and forth and the never moving forward. That's why I actually got into props and I didn't get into film.
Yeah,
because Indiana is not where you make movies.
Actually, I know several actors and movie makers who live here in Indy. But I had one of the things from C2E2 that I guess I did a good job on is like I had a girl contacting me about doing some props for a Fallout movie.
Nice.
So, well, if that ever
wish you the best of luck with that.
If that ever goes anywhere, we'll see.
I need to show you after this since we do we supply so many props to so many different places. We've done work for fan films and stuff like that. There's there was a Star Wars fan film that we did a couple things for.
Yeah.
Which we've done actual short films and stuff. We did the work for Spirit Beside Me, the international thing that James shared.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we did stuff for that, and that looks like it's going to be pretty. Yeah, it looks like it gets at least put together.
Yeah, that's actually how I met Freddie, because Freddie used to do films and stuff. He did a Fallout fan film, and we were talking about doing one, and I was going to supply some stuff. Then he started doing prop making, and he started asking me a bunch of questions, which led into how he became my apprentice.
I mean, the thing that got me into building my props was something very similar. It's the Indiana film dream of, I want to make movies, but all the movies I want to make have all of these ridiculous like sets and props, and then you get into making them because guess what? You're not in Hollywood. You don't have those people around, so you get into doing it, and then all of a sudden you can't make films because you're in Indiana, but you're good at props, and then now all of a sudden you're a prop builder, and there's a community for that, and you get into that one, and they give you a T-shirt.
I've been trying to get one of those fucking T-shirts.
These are exclusive for reasons.
I'm a contractor. I do work for you guys.
Well.
I know the reasoning behind it, but I still want one.
We've actually looked into doing just merch shirts.
Well, yeah, you should be having.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you about the shirts was, not only for Wolfgar Weapons do I want to try to get our merch lines a bit more, but as my standalone brand that I want to do, I actually want to do hats. I want to do beanies.
The company I use doesn't do hats or beanies.
Doesn't do beanies? Oh, that's nice.
But they do T-shirts and prints and other shit.
Okay.
I'll show you when we'll connect to it.
Because I'm always going to do Wolfgar Weapons, but there's a lot of stuff that like doesn't really fall under what Wolfgar Weapons goals of like stuff are. So as a multimedia artist, I want to do other stuff too.
I've got a few shirt designs. I've got my latest versions is the shirt I'm wearing now with the style font, but then I got the other ones that I had one of my followers make me banners for my social medias, which is like pictures from Chernobyl with my logo on a sign.
Nice.
I've got those old shirt designs, and a few of my social medias still have those up on there, but I'm not necessarily worried about selling a bunch of shirts. They're just up there if somebody wants one. I sell shirts, hoodies, tank tops, coffee mugs, stickers.
Yeah, general merch stuff.
The only thing, everything's set at cost. I don't, besides my t-shirts, everything else is at cost because I don't really necessarily want to make
it's not
need to
something
make
that
money
you're
off just general merch.
Yeah, it's also not something that you're throwing a lot of graphic design into.
No, I still need to go through and make stickers for this newer logo.
But it's not like you're
mainly because if
you're making designing a picture that has a small story in it.
They're just up there for sale. I make a couple bucks off my t-shirts. It's not much,
It's enough that you think that it was worth it to put them up there in the first place.
Well, mainly because a lot of my maker friends have shirts. Yeah, I like collecting my maker friend shirts, and if my maker friends want one of my shirts, then they have the option. I've got Pope's got one of my shirts. Freddie's got one. Facetious Femme has one. One of my followers, Karama Smash, has one. And I was like, you buy one of my shirts, you get a shout out. A little caveat.
I think the only merch shirts we do are the Cost Awesome, the Project Cost Awesome shirts.
I get one of those too.
I think what we're going to do, since we have a lot of Cost Awesome shirts that were left over through the years, I think do not quote me on this, but I think we might be going through and discounting all the old shirts and just basically hey, there was just all the previous year's shirts. Because we have 4 different shirts.
Shit.
Because every year we would do a new shirt design. Yeah. But I do want to do...
Isn't Cause Awesome this year in July?
Something like June or July. It's in the summer.
I'm gonna have to get those dates because I want to make sure that I'm there.
Be sure to talk to Jim.
If it's in July, a lot of people in my work are gonna be on vacation. I got to see if I can at least get the weekend off so I can go up there for the weekend.
Yeah.
Like I did last year. We'll talk about that. But now, one thing I tried to have a recurring segment on the podcast that I didn't do the last 2 is. Well, actually, I did it one out of the last 2 podcasts, but the one I did it on, I had to redo because the mic didn't pick up my guest. As if you were to talk to somebody who was just getting into making in general, say somebody want to hey, how do I go about making props, or how I go about doing whatever it is the hell that you do? What advice would you give them?
What main advice would I give someone that wanted to make something?
Yes, the Seth Knight mastery advice.
All right, from from my personal experience of all of this, the what I would like to say about it is, first and foremost, everyone's going to tell you to watch videos, and that's a very important part of this. Is just to watch videos. And why is it important? So you don't get yourself hurt doing something.
Yeah.
And it'll give you an idea, but everyone will do something. Everyone will do things differently.
Yeah.
And you're only going to find out how it works for you when you do it. There's nothing that's you can't be a maker without making something.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the tools, look for a co-work space to join. If you don't have the space, co-work space. Or if you have a friend that has a shop, buy him a beer. Go hang out and go make something.
As makers, if you show up to a shop to work and you're like, hey, I'm going to come work in your shop, and we're like, yeah, cool. You show up with beer, it's going to make things a lot
It's going to make a lot of things a lot better. And guess what? They're going to be totally cool with you coming back.
Yeah, not saying you should get drunk and work in a shop,
No,
but if you show
beer,
up to somebody's shop.
not like doing shots. That's for after you're done. But
yeah, you can have a beer hanging out
yeah.
then as you're working, but don't get drunk working in a shop. That is not safe.
But you need to go and you need to do things, and you need to think and you will only get better if you think about what went wrong the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you will fail a lot of things. Trust me, that's okay. It's okay. A master has failed more times than the beginner has ever tried.
Yeah.
That's something that will happen, and that's absolutely okay.
How many times have I rebuilt my Ranger helmet? More times than I care to count.
I've been doing prop building for 3, 4, 5 years at this point. And I have failed a lot of projects.
Mm.
Like the first iterations of a lot of the commissions I've done never saw the completion of light of the day. So do not hold it against yourself if it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it before. Perfection's almost never achieved. There's always something more you could do. There always is something more you could do. But that's the level of this, the standard level that you need to find that's okay. That you're
Takes
okay
practice.
With. Yeah.
You do stuff over and over again until you perfect your technique. Caveat, I'm trying to learn how to make rice from zucchini for my diet. I tried making rice last night. Didn't turn out that great, but didn't taste bad. Didn't turn out that great.
And the more you do it, the more you learn, the better it'll get.
I miss rice.
Brought to you by Can We Get This Man Some Rice? No, but
as long as you're practicing, because there's YouTube videos, there's other makers who do the things that you want to do that you can always contact or call or message.
And don't be afraid of imperfection of your work. Do not be afraid
of
it not turning out perfect.
No, say if you're a beginner maker and you're making something, rather it be out of foam or MDF or whatever, and you show somebody who's been doing it for a long time, 4 or 5, 10 plus years, they say, hey, great start, but you need to redo it over again better, and don't let that discourage you. Because I was helping Freddie with a project, and he showed me the helmet he made, and it's like, you need to remake this.
It's not only a matter of he can do it better. If you do something, you can do the exact same thing again, and you'll be better at it.
Yeah, and it falls.
Even if you don't think you can, you can because you've done it.
It falls in line to what I said about one of my bosses telling me, don't put anything out there unless you're proud of it.
Yep.
Now, if you're starting out and you're putting stuff out there like, hey, I'm a beginner at this, I say you can still put your stuff out there because there's going to be people like you and me who are going to be like, man, that's awesome. This is how you can do it better. Or hey, if you need any advice or whatever, you feel free to contact, whatever. But, you put your stuff out there as a beginner, it's like, hey, it's something you want to do. People will give you advice if they see that you could do good at it.
Yep. Also, it's just a massive thing to work smart because...
Work smart, not hard.
Well, work smart and work hard when you know it needs to be done.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause-
Don't deliberately make things harder on yourself.
No,
when there's
don't-
an easier way to do
Don't
it.
sabotage yourself. Set
Yeah.
yourself up to succeed, not to fail.
No, you're gonna fail, but you need to drive to succeed.
It's only a true failure if you don't learn anything from
Yeah.
it.
It's true. But yeah, I'd say it's pretty good advice. But we've been going for a couple hours now.
It's sure been a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not James Wolfgard level, but fairly long.
We could keep going, but we got stuff to do.
Yeah. I feel like that's a pretty good time to wrap it up, though.
Yeah. Usually when I get around to far, I feel like it's either gonna go into rambling or it's like seems like a good time to tie it up. That's why I try to go into that one segment. Now, as a caveat, any opinions or statements said about any people or companies or whatever, it's just opinions. I know the last podcast, I probably sounded a little bit of an asshole talking about certain things, and I know I did it this episode talking about the costume contest at C2E2, but as it is, that is just an opinion. It does not reflect on any company or any person or any cosplayer in the community or said business or respective properties. Everybody has their opinions, and if you feel the need to dislike this video because of it, then you're more power to you. But also, if anybody who knows me, who hangs out with me, knows that I'm not really an asshole. If we go off on tangents, because like we do, it's going to happen.
We do.
I just want to I want to make this podcast more positive, but also sometimes people are going to go on tangents, and it's going to happen organically, and it's going to happen to me too. So I just want to put that out there that has no reflections on any company or any cosplayer or any maker or any person, because most of the time people are just generally good people.
Yeah. And like I said, also the intent of all of it is we just want things to get better. And we just want people to
it needs to get better.
Intent is purely that we just want things to be better so people can be happier.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us for episode 8 of the Origin of the Maker podcast. It kind of just happened organically, so I didn't have to ask him how I got into it. So 405th, baby. Yes, the 405th. So we will be back next time with episode 9 with a new guest. I'm not going to announce because I still got to schedule it out with said person. So yeah, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.